amazing listeners. Welcome back to our episode. I'm your host, Pia, and you're tuning in to We Listen and Learn, and I'm so grateful you're joining me today. You know, life has this amazing way of teaching us lessons, and today we're going to dive into something that I'm really passionate about: letting go of your past and embracing the new you. As someone who's experienced the power of transformation firsthand, I can't wait to share some valuable insights and strategies that have not only changed my life, but have also helped so many others I've had the privilege to work with. Like, we all have those moments that hold us back, right? Those experiences that seem to stick with us and, sometimes prevent us from moving forward. In the next few minutes, we're going to explore practical ways to release those old patterns and step into a newer, stronger version of yourself. Trust me, this journey is going to be transformative, and I'm here to guide you every step of the way. You know, it's fascinating how our past experiences can feel like heavy weights that we carry around every single day. I've seen this pattern so many times, both in my own life and in the lives of people I've helped. We tend to hold on to these past moments, these memories that, sometimes feel like they're defining who we are. Let me share something personal with you. Growing up as an only child, I always felt this immense pressure to be perfect, to never make mistakes. I remember this one particular time when I made a significant career decision that didn't work out the way I planned. For months, I carried that perceived failure with me everywhere I went. It affected my confidence, my relationships, and even my ability to take new opportunities. And you know what? I kept replaying that situation in my mind, over and over again, like a movie that wouldn't stop. It was like this constant reminder of what I thought was my biggest mistake. But here's the thing. Holding on to that past experience was actually preventing me from seeing new opportunities that were right in front of me. I started noticing how this pattern of holding on to past experiences was showing up in different areas of my life. When someone would offer me a new opportunity, my first thought would always be, but what if I fail again? The weight of that past experience was literally holding me back from growing, from trying new things, from, becoming who I was meant to be. Through my journey of personal growth and helping others, I've come to understand that our past experiences, while they shape us, don't have to define us. They're like chapters in a book, important parts of our story, but not the whole story. And just because one chapter was challenging doesn't mean the next one has to be. What I've learned is that success isn't about never failing or never making mistakes. It's about how we choose to carry those experiences with us. Do we let them weigh us down, or do we use them as stepping stones to build something better? Now, let's talk about the first crucial strategy in letting go of your past: acknowledging and accepting your experiences. You know, this might sound counterintuitive at first, but the path to letting go actually begins with fully acknowledging what happened. It's like when you're trying to clean out a cluttered room, you first need to take everything out and really look at what you're dealing with. Think of your past experiences as stones in your backpack. Some of these stones might be painful memories, regrets, or disappointments. Instead of pretending they're not there, we need to take each one out, look at it, and understand its weight in our lives. Here's a practical exercise I want you to try. Find a quiet space, take a deep breath, and write down 3 past experiences that you feel are holding you back. Be completely honest with yourself. No judgment, no criticism, just pure acknowledgement of what happened and how it made you feel. When I did this exercise myself, I realized that some of the experiences I was holding on to weren't even as significant as I had made them out to be in my mind. It was, like finally seeing these memories for what they truly were, not what my fears had turned them into. The next step is acceptance, and this is where many of us struggle. Accepting doesn't mean you're okay with what happened or that you're giving up. Instead, it means you're choosing to see these experiences as teachers rather than tormentors. Try this. For each experience you wrote down, ask yourself, what did this teach me about myself? What strengths did I discover because of this challenge? How did this experience help me grow? You might be surprised by the answers that come up. I remember working with someone who carried the weight of a failed business for years. Through this exercise, they realized that this failure actually taught them invaluable lessons about resilience, financial management, and the importance of having a strong support system. What once felt like their biggest shame became their greatest teacher. Another powerful practice is the letter of acknowledgement. Write a letter to your past self, acknowledging the challenges they faced and the strength they showed. Be compassionate, be understanding, and most importantly, be honest about how these experiences have contributed to who you are today. Remember, acknowledgement and acceptance aren't about dwelling in the past. They're about creating space for your future. When we truly acknowledge and accept our past experiences, we stop fighting against them. And that's when real transformation begins to happen. Think of it like, when you're trying to swim upstream. The more you fight against the current, the more exhausted you become. But when you acknowledge and accept where you are, you can finally start thinking clearly about where you want to go instead. Now let's explore how we can transform those negative experiences into valuable life lessons. One of the most powerful skills you can develop is the ability to reframe your past experiences. Think of it like looking at a photograph from a different angle. Suddenly, you might see details you never noticed before. I want to share a story about someone I worked with recently. She was constantly beating herself up about a relationship that ended badly. Every time she thought about it, she felt like a failure. But through reframing, we discovered that this experience actually taught her incredible lessons about self-worth, boundaries, and what she truly wanted in a partner. Here's how you can start reframing your own experiences. First, take that situation that's been weighing on you and ask yourself, if my best friend were going through this, what would I tell them? It's amazing how much wisdom and compassion we have for others, but sometimes struggle to give to ourselves. One really effective technique I've found is what I call the future self perspective. Imagine yourself 5 years from now, looking back at this current situation. What insights would your future self share with you? What opportunities for growth might they see that you're currently missing? I remember working with a client who lost his job during the pandemic. At first, it felt like his world was falling apart. But when we reframed the experience, he realized this forced pause gave him the opportunity to pursue his real passion, something he'd been too afraid to do while in his comfortable corporate job. Now he runs a successful business, doing what he loves. Let's try this together. Think about a negative experience you're holding on to. Now, instead of focusing on what you lost, ask yourself, what did I gain? What skills did I develop? How did this prepare me for something better? Sometimes the biggest setbacks are actually setups for incredible comebacks. Another powerful reframing technique is what I call the growth timeline. Draw a line representing your life journey and mark both the challenging experiences and the strengths or insights you gained from each one. You'll often find that your most difficult moments led to your most significant personal growth. Remember, reframing isn't about denying the pain or difficulty of an experience. It's about choosing to also see the value and learning opportunities within it. Like, when you're going through a storm, you can either focus on the rain or look for the rainbow. Both are real, but what you choose to focus on shapes your experience. I've seen this transformation happen countless times. People who felt stuck in their past stories suddenly finding new meaning and purpose through simply shifting their perspective. The situation didn't change, but their relationship to it did. And that made all the difference. Now that we understand how to reframe our past experiences, let's talk about creating powerful new habits that will support your transformation. Sometimes the hardest part isn't letting go of the past, but building the foundation for your future self. I've learned through my own journey that sustainable change happens through small, consistent actions. Think of it like building a house. You don't start with the roof, you start with a solid foundation, brick by brick. Let me share 3 key principles I've found incredibly effective. First, start ridiculously small. And I mean really small. Want to develop a meditation practice? Start with just 1 minute each morning. Looking to exercise more? Begin with 5 minutes of stretching. The key is to make it so easy that your brain doesn't have time to resist. The second principle is what I call habit stacking. This is where you attach your new habit to something you already do consistently. For example, I wanted to practice gratitude daily, so I started listing 3 things I'm grateful for while my morning coffee brews. It's now become such a natural part of my routine that I don't even think about it. The third principle is creating your environment for success. This is something I learned the hard way. You see, willpower isn't enough. Your environment needs to support your new habits. If you're trying to eat healthier, clear out the junk food from your pantry. Want to read more? Keep a book on your nightstand instead of your phone. Let me tell you about one of my clients who used these principles to transform her life. She wanted to become a morning person after years of being a night owl. Instead of trying to wake up at 5 a.m. immediately, she started by setting her alarm just 15 minutes earlier each week. She placed her alarm across the room and laid out her workout clothes the night before. Within 2 months, she had completely transformed her morning routine. Here's a practical strategy I love. Create a habit scorecard. For 1 week, track your current daily habits without trying to change them. Just observe. This awareness alone often leads to natural adjustments in behavior, and it helps you identify the perfect spots to insert new, positive habits. Remember, forming new habits isn't about perfection, it's about progress. If you miss a day, don't let it derail you. Just pick up where you left off the next day. The goal isn't to be perfect, it's to be consistent over time. I've noticed that people often try to change too many things at once. Focus on one new habit at a time. Master it, make it automatic, then move on to the next. Like, you wouldn't try to juggle 5 balls before learning to juggle 1, right? Your new habits should align with the person you want to become. Each small action is a vote for your new identity. When you show up for your 1-minute meditation, you're not just meditating, you're becoming someone who values mindfulness and inner peace. Let me share some truly inspiring stories of transformation that I've witnessed throughout my journey. You know, it's one thing to talk about strategies, but seeing real people make real changes, that's what really drives home the power of letting go. I'll start with Maria's story, which honestly still gives me goosebumps when I think about it. She was holding on to a decades-old family conflict that was literally consuming her life. Every decision she made was colored by this past hurt. Through our work together, she learned to acknowledge the pain while choosing to write a new story for herself. Today, she's running her own successful business and has even rebuilt some of those broken family relationships. Then there's Richard, who, had been carrying the weight of a failed business venture for years. He was so paralyzed by that past failure that he couldn't bring himself to take any risks. But once he started reframing that experience as a masterclass in entrepreneurship, rather than a personal failure, everything shifted. He now mentors other business owners, and ironically, his past failure has become his greatest teaching tool. And I have to share my own story because I believe in being transparent with you all. For years, I struggled with perfectionism that stemmed from my childhood experiences. I was that kid who needed to get straight A's, who had to be the best at everything. This pattern followed me into adulthood, and it was exhausting. I was constantly comparing my chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. The turning point came when I realized that my perfectionism wasn't serving me. It was actually holding me back from taking risks and growing. I started implementing the very strategies we've been discussing. Little by little, I learned to embrace imperfection and see it as a natural part of growth. One of the most powerful moments in my journey was when I finally understood that my past didn't define my future. Like, you know that moment when something just clicks? I realized I could honor my past experiences while choosing a different path forward. What all these stories have in common is that transformation didn't happen overnight. It was a series of small choices, daily decisions to let go of old patterns and embrace new possibilities. These aren't just success stories, they're testimonies to the resilience of the human spirit and our incredible capacity for change. Now that we've seen how powerful transformation can be, let's break down the specific actions you can take starting today to begin your own journey of letting go. I want to give you practical, concrete steps that you can implement immediately. First, start each day with what I call the clean slate morning practice. When you wake up, take 5 minutes to write down one thing you're ready to release and one new possibility you're open to. This simple practice helps shift your mindset from past-focused to future-oriented. The next step is creating what I like to call new story moments. 3 times throughout your day, pause and ask yourself, am I making this decision based on past fears or future possibilities? This awareness alone can dramatically shift your behavior patterns. Let me share something that works incredibly well for my clients. It's the Growth Evidence Journal. Each evening, write down 3 pieces of evidence that you're growing and changing. They can be tiny things, like choosing a different response to an old trigger, or bigger victories, like having a difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Another powerful practice is what I call the future self check-in. Take a moment each day to visualize yourself 6 months from now, having already made the changes you desire. Like, what would that version of you do in your current situation? Let that guide your decisions. One of the most effective tools I've found is creating new environmental triggers. If you're trying to let go of a past relationship, rearrange your living space. If you're releasing old career fears, create a dedicated workspace that reflects your future vision. Your environment shapes your mindset more than you might realize. Start implementing the 3 R's practice. Recognize when you're falling into old patterns, release the urge to react in your usual way, and redirect your energy toward your new chosen response. This might feel uncomfortable at first, but that discomfort is actually a sign of growth. Set aside 10 minutes each evening for the daily release ritual. Write down any old beliefs or patterns that showed up during your day and consciously choose to let them go. Then write down what you're choosing instead. Remember, this isn't about perfection. It's about progress and consistent practice. These steps might seem simple, but their power lies in consistent application. Choose 1 or 2 to start with, and gradually incorporate the others. Remember, sustainable change happens through small, intentional actions repeated over time. I want to take a moment to thank you all for joining me on today's journey of self-discovery and growth. It really means the world to me that you're here, taking these steps toward creating a better version of yourself. Remember, letting go of your past isn't about forgetting who you were. It's about choosing who you want to become. And I truly believe that each one of you has the strength within to make that choice every single day. As we wrap up today's episode, I want you to know that transformation is a journey, not a destination. There will be days when it feels challenging, and that's okay. What matters is that you keep showing up for yourself, one small step at a time. And please like and subscribe and click notification so that you don't miss any of my episodes. And share this video with your friends and family or people you know that can benefit from it. Your support means everything to me, and it helps us build this amazing community of growth-minded individuals. Keep listen and learn. I love you all so much, and stay tuned for next Monday.